The screech of my brakes tore through the quiet of Willow Creek as I swerved to avoid a man lounging in my driveway, a towel around his waist and a glass of my orange juice in his hand. He didn't flinch. Instead, he pointed at me, his voice sharp. "Hey, pal, this is private property. Beat it, or I'm calling the cops." For a split second, I thought I'd driven to the wrong house. But there were my cedar shutters, my mailbox with the dent from last summer's storm. This stranger was standing on my lawn, acting like he owned it. "I'm Lucas Harper, a graphic designer who'd been gone 3 weeks, helping my sister in Colorado after a car accident. I'd left my homey and modest ranch with a guest cottage out back in the hands of a lawn sare VYC and a neighbor I trusted. Or thought I did. Stepping out of my truck, groceries in one arm, I stared at the guy. He was mid-30s, wiry, with a smirk that begged to be wiped off. Behind him, the cottage, a 500-square-foot space for VY sighting friends, looked wrong. "A tacky welcome home." Matt sat by the door. Fairy lights dangled from the eaves. My deadbolt was gone, replaced by a shiny keypad lock. I rang the bell, my heart pounding. The man cracked the door, now wearing my old Rockies cap, and scowled. "What's your problem?" "I'm renting this place through Diane from the HOA. Take it up with her." He flashed a lease, the paper creased but official-looking, with a logo I didn't know. When I asked if Diane had shown him any proof she could rent my property, he laughed. "She's the HOA boss. She doesn't mess around." Then he slammed the door in my face. I stood there, the grocery bag sagging, my mind racing. This wasn't a prank, no cameras, no punchline. Someone had hijacked my home. I dropped the groceries inside the main house, noticing the mail stacked too neatly, like someone had been snooping. I called my lawyer, Sam, a buddy from college who'd handle my closing. "Lucas," he said, his voice grim, "this sounds like fraud. Don't do anything rash. I'll be there in an hour." While waiting, I circled the cottage. New curtains blocked the windows. A skateboard leaned against the wall. I tried the water valve out backlocked with a new padlock. The breaker box was the same, sealed tight. Whoever did this wasn't sloppy. They planned it. When Sam arrived, we headed to the HOA office, a bland building by the community pool that reeked of authority and cheap air freshener. Diane was there, perched behind a desk cluttered with photos and a nameplate. Diane Kessler, president. Her blonde hair was teased high, her smile all sugar and no warmth. "Lucas, welcome back," she said like we were old friends. "How's your sister?" I ignored the bait. "Why is a stranger in my cottage, Diane? Why are my locks changed? And why does he think you rented it to him?" Her smile tightened. She pulled a folder from a drawer and slid a document across. "You signed the community use agreement, Lucas. It lets us lease vacant units for temporary housing. It's in the bylaws." My name was typed at the top, Lucas Harper. Below, a signature dated 2 weeks ago when I was in Colorado. It wasn't mine. The strokes were too angular, too deliberate. "This is forged," I said, my voice low. "I was never here." Diane tilted her head, her earrings glinting. "That's a serious accusation. The board approved this to help those in need. The tenant, Cody, is my nephew. You're doing a good deed." She leaned closer, her tone icy. "If you fight this, it'll get ugly. The board hates troublemakers." I left with the fake document, my hands shaking. Sam scanned it in his car. "This is garbage," he said. "No notari, no witnesses. We'll crush this." But Diane's confidence gnawed at me. She wasn't bluffing, she was certain. That night, I couldn't sleep. At 1 a.m., I peeked through my blinds and saw Cody hauling a chair onto the cottage porch, Diane's Prius idling nearby. She was directing him, pointing at my flower beds like they were hers. I gripped my coffee mug, fury simmering. This wasn't just a scam, it was a power grab. The next morning, I dug in. I scoured the HOA, bylaws, online 50 pages of jargon with nothing about community use. The county recorder confirmed my deed was clean. Diane's lease was a lie, but she'd sold it to Cody like law. I wondered if she'd done this before, if I was just the first to push back. Sam drafted a cease and desist, demanding Cody leave and Diane explain herself. I delivered it to her office, where she took it with a smirk. "You're overreacting," she said, tossing it aside. The board will handle it. I wasn't waiting for her cronies. I knocked on my neighbor Ellie's door, a retiree with a sharp tongue and sharper memory. Over tea, she spilled. Diane's been a tyrant for years. Fined me for a loud wind chime. Threatened to lien Tom's house for a cracked mailbox. Tom, next door, had his own story. A $200 fine for unapproved shrubs. By dusk, I talked to 5 neighbors, all with tales of Diane's petty rules and vague threats. She wasn't just bending bylaws, she was rewriting them. I installed a camera by the cottage that night, its lens on the door. At 3 a.m., it caught Cody spray painting "Stay Out" on my shed. He didn't see the camera, too busy sneaking back inside. I saved the clip, my jaw tight. Vandalism on top of trespassing. I called the police, handing over the VY Deo and Sam's letter. The cop, Officer Reyes, watched it and shrugged. We'll talk to him, but HOAs are tricky. They've got clout. It stung, but I expected it. Diane's influence wasn't just local, it was systemic. I went bigger. I reported an unpermitted rental to the zoning office, flagged the fire hazard of Cody's grill to the fire marshal, and tipped the health department about the cottage's shared septic. Diane wanted a fight? She'd get one. 2 days later, inspectors swarmed the cottage. I watched from my porch, coffee in hand, as Cody fumbled with his fake lease. The zoning officer cited him for illegal occupancy. The fire marshal noted the grill's placement. The health inspector demanded septic records Cody didn't have. Diane arrived, her Prius squealing. She tried to charm the inspectors, calling it a misunderstanding. They weren't buying it. The zoning officer handed her a violation notice. The fire marshal issued a warning. The health inspector gave her 24 hours to clear the cottage. Cody packed that night, tossing bags into his hatchback. He flipped me off as he drove away, my cap still on his head. An orange "condemned" sticker went up on the cottage door. It wasn't justice yet, but it was close. The neighborhood lit up. A forum post Diane's nephew busted sparked a flood of comments. Fines for crooked fences, banned birdhouses, even a kid's chalk art called vandalism. Diane's reign was cracking. Ellie and VY Ted me over, and with Tom and 2 others, we planned a coup. Gather signatures, expose Diane, and boot her from the board. She's scared, Ellie said, her eyes gleaming. You got her running. Diane fought back. A notice arrived, citing me for unauthorized porch lights. Ellie got 1 for her wind chime again. Tom's shrubs were suddenly non-compliant. It was frantic, sloppy. She was losing control, but still dangerous. Then she announced an emergency HOA meeting to restore harmony. I knew her game paint me as the VY lane, rally her allies. Sam helped me compile EVY Denke, the forgery, the lease, the inspection reports. We gave it to Ellie to present, since I wasn't allowed to speak. The meeting was chaos. The community center overflowed, neighbors standing in the back. Diane, in a coral blazer, preached unity, blaming one agitator for the trouble. Ellie stood, reading our statement with steel in her voice. She listed the fraud, the trespass, the retaliation. The crowd murmured. A woman asked why her pool fees vanished with no upgrades. A man demanded answers about a $300 fine for noisy sprinklers. Diane's smile faltered. This is a smear, she shouted, her voice shrill. Lucas Harper's tearing us apart. But the room turned. Tom shared an email where Diane threatened his car for parking too close to her lawn. Ellie played a voicemail of Diane mocking a neighbor's accent. Then Raj dropped a bombshell. Bank records, leaked anonymously, showing $3,000 in event fees paid to Diane's sister for parties that never happened. The board president, a nervous guy named Carl, called a vote. Diane's allies wavered. The motion to remove her passed 7-3. She grabbed her purse and stormed out, her heels clicking into silence. The room buzzed, not with fear, but with possibility. A week later, a key arrived in my mailbox, taped to a note. Yours again. Diane's handwriting bitter as ever. Sam filed a countersuit for fraud and harassment, and Diane dropped her petty $1,500 claim against me, citing health issues. The board replaced her with Ellie, who slashed the bylaws and posted meeting notes online. Restoring the cottage took a month. New locks, fresh paint, a sturdier door. I made it a weekend rental, each guest finding a note. This place was stolen once. Now it's home. The neighborhood changed. Mailboxes turned purple. Kids drew on sidewalks. Ellie planted daisies, and no one said a word. One night, a postcard slipped under my Gadia cheesy beach scene. Diane's sharp script. Rules always win. I tossed in the trash, laughing. She could plot from wherever she'd fled, but Willow Creek was done with her. We weren't just freeway, we're alive again. And I'd stand guard to keep it that way. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.